Debbie and I are very excited about an artifact in Jerusalem that is called the Pool of Siloam. The Pool of Siloam. The Pool of Siloam is a giant pool. In fact, it's the size of 2 Olympic swimming pools. And it is in the part of Jerusalem that used to be the city of David, and is still called the city of David now because it has been discovered that this is in fact the archaeological site on which the city of David once stood. And pilgrims in ancient times, including, as it turns out, the time of Jesus, would come to Jerusalem. They'd come from all parts of Israel, and they would come by walking, or they would come on an animal or on a donkey, where Jesus traveled often on the back of a donkey. And when these pilgrims got to Jerusalem, they wanted to go to the temple. But Jews can't enter the temple if they are ritually unclean, if they haven't washed. And so initially in Jerusalem, there were small pools where Jews could sort of go in the pool, wash. But as the number of pilgrims swelled and became quite large in Jesus' own day, they decided, let's build a big pool in which all the pilgrims who come to Jerusalem can wash in this pool. And then there are some steps to the pool, and then there is a pathway extending something like a quarter to half a mile, and you ascend up those steps and up that pathway to the temple itself. Now, what's remarkable about all this is that this pool was hidden. It was not known. And then recently it was accidentally discovered. A pipe broke in Jerusalem. They began to dig. The sort of sanitation people came in, but some archaeologists were with them. And guess what? They dig the pipe and they discover right under that an archaeologically important location. They discover this is where the Pool of Siloam was. And they've also found the pathway leading up to the temple. Now, this is tremendously sort of important and exciting stuff. And one reason is this: Jesus, without a doubt, bathed in that pool. Because Jesus was a pilgrim. He went to the temple. In fact, he went to the temple multiple times. We know he was at the temple when he was as early as 12 years old. So he went to that pool and he walked on those steps and he walked that path to the temple. And as Zev Ornstein, who runs the City of David Foundation, at least he's its public spokesman, he goes, this is not a matter of faith. This is a matter of fact. So Jesus, as an historical person, no one denies that he did these things. And if he did these things, he bathed in that pool. So that pool is now being recreated. The site is being fully excavated, and it's going to be in short order. By short order, we mean months, maybe even a year, open to the public. We can actually walk in Jesus's.
We were lucky enough to do it.
Yeah, Debbie's reminding me that when we were in Israel, Zev Ornstein and his team gave us a private tour of the archaeological expeditions underway. We could see all these guys covered in dust, digging and so on. And we were able to walk on that road and also put our hand in the ashes of where Jerusalem had been burned by the Romans. And another thing that's worth noting is that there is a description in the Bible of Jesus restoring the sight of a man born blind at the Pool of Siloam. So there's one of the miracles of Scripture is located at this pool. So now, and again, think of it, for many centuries, people would read the Bible, and as the kind of acid of skepticism began to spread, people began to say, well, who knows if any of this even happened? Who knows if there was a King Hezekiah? Who knows if there was a Pontius Pilate? Who knows if these miracles occurred? Who knows if these locations are made up? Well, as it turns out, it was King Hezekiah in the Old Testament, who described in the Old Testament, he built the Pool of Siloam. It turns out that Pontius Pilate is an historical figure, and there are now monuments that have his name on it that date back to the time when he lived. So he was a real person. And as it turns out now, the real site of the miracle, you can continue to believe or not believe in the miracle, but you can't continue to not believe that there was a pool and this is the location that is being described, and Jesus was in fact there, and he did in fact make this journey to the temple. So all of this is extremely fascinating. I think it is a stunning vindication. It has political political implications, but it also has theological implications. Well, what are the political implications? Well, they show that ancient Israel was in fact the land of the Jews. These were Jewish kings who built these things, and there was a Jewish temple. And so the Jews, in a sense, were the people of Israel. Now, later they were scattered. They went into diaspora. They only came back in the 19th century and then continuing until the formation of the State of Israel. So that's the political side. But the theological side is that these are places and events that are described in the Bible, both in the Old Testament and in the New. And so what's going on with these archaeological expeditions, which Debbie and I are doing our small part to support philanthropically, because we think it's so important for people around the world to be able to go to Jerusalem and see for themselves that these aren't fables, these aren't fairy tales, these aren't fictions, these are real things, real places, real people, real history. It all occurred, and as Zev Ornstein says, it's not merely a matter of faith. It can be a matter of faith if you live elsewhere, if you've never been, if you've never seen. But for those who have seen, who have been there, it is also a matter of fact.
We honor you, Father, for all that you've done for us.
Chief Division Counsel and DOJ have approved a no-knock breach. We want the subject to be on display, doing the walk of shame, full visual impact. Any questions?
Are we becoming a police state?
Government told American citizens they couldn't go to church on Sunday.
For the first time in my life, I'm saying to myself, am I going to get a knock at the door?
FBI warrant, come to the door now!
The Patriot Act and FISA were used against Donald Trump.
These individuals have commissioned the biggest propaganda play in U.S. history.
They don't go after the people that rigged the election. They go after the people that want to find out what the hell happened.
We don't need to have a crime. What we need is a person to look at. And then we go find out what crime you did.
FBI! Our focus is shifting. Our main priority as a bureau is going to be domestic terrorism.
Really paints anybody who's right of center.
If you're a pro-life, pro-family Catholic, they define you as radical.
These are anti-government,
We have freedom of religion and freedom of speech.
violent extremists, and they must be dealt with. We can do anything we want.